Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's LinkedIn Profile Optimization webinar. Now, just by way of a short introduction, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Melanie Goodman. I'm originally a lawyer by profession, and after 8 years as a director of an international law firm dealing with their social media and business development, I started up Trevisan 2 years ago. And we're a social media marketing company for professional services, and we specialize in client generation and LinkedIn marketing in particular. And I often work with a lot of other marketing departments and professionals as well, helping them with their lead generation and visibility. Now, moving on to why you're actually here. We're going to work through all the most important sections of your LinkedIn profile, everything from the background photo to privacy settings. I do tend to talk fast, so I will try and go slowly, but I want everyone to gain as much value out of this webinar as possible. So do feel free to interrupt me and put in some questions and answers if you want me to explain something in more detail, and I can look at it at the end. The tips that I'm giving you will ensure that your profile is search engine optimized, which is a phrase that you've probably heard before in relation to websites, but it's very important for LinkedIn as well. It will ensure that both search engines and LinkedIn will prioritize you over your competitors. Right, so let's make a start. We're going to start with the headline, as that's the first area that people see when they come to your profile. So what we're going to do is we go to the me at the top of the screen, and then scroll down to view profile, and this little pencil icon here, when you click on it, it will allow you to make changes to your headline. Now, looking at the headline, this is this section here. There should really be no emojis, and use the name that you usually go by. And this will be what people recognize you from. So your role. It's best to put your actual role in if you're a CEO or a co-founder or a managing director. Name the industry, because when people are doing searches, they will generally search by industry as well. And this is the key. So I'm going to now tell you the formula that you should use to help yourself be found and is most effective in bringing inbound leads. So people approaching you on LinkedIn, which is obviously the ideal scenario. So you say helping or assisting X, Y, and Z to achieve X, Y, and Z by X, Y, and Z. And I'm going to give you an example. For example, if you're a wealth manager, you could say a wealth manager assisting senior executives plan for their future by advanced estate planning strategies. That's just an example. But it's this formula, which I'm just going to say once more, helping X, Y, and Z achieve X, Y, and Z by X, Y, and Z. Because often People are writing this down as I speak. Now, the sort of items you can also include in your headline are things like awards and accolades. For example, if you're an editor-in-chief or you were voted number 7 in Forbes top 10 or Spears 500, this is the place where you can add them in. As you can see, I've added in an award that I contribute to a publication, etc. So it's really a bit of a place to show off as well. But keep it clean, keep it clear, and keep it precise. Steer clear of those really annoying buzzwords that people use, like influencer. You don't need that in your headline. Your headline should speak for itself. And the value that you add in your post should show you as a sort of thought leader or an influencer. You shouldn't need to write it. Now, we want to make things as easy as possible for your visitors. So you can even drop in your profile URL here. And if you don't know what that is, I'm about to move on to it in a moment. If you really want to stand out, you can even include a mission statement. For example, a B2B growth specialist on a mission to close the digital knowledge gap. Now, I'm going to give you a top tip here. On LinkedIn, you only get 120 characters. But if you use your iPhone to craft your headline, you actually get 200. So if you can, use an iPhone and put more in there. There's no right or no wrong way to do this. But I would definitely use your iPhone and put as much in as possible. Now I'm going to move on to the contact information area. So I'm just going to discard the changes to my own profile. And if we move down here, you can see contact information. We go to the pencil, we can now edit this. And now this is a really secret trick that most people just put in their company profile here, but don't. Scroll down and go to other. And the reason that I say this is because when you choose other, you get this option to add in a description. So this is where you can tell people using a keyword what you do for them. And you can add in a website URL here. So for example, you can see that I've used keywords, social media and finance, because I deal with a lot of financial services professionals. Now, it's important also to add an accurate location. So for example, if we come out of this, you will see that I've put exactly that I live in Geneva, Switzerland. And this is important as often people search by location. So if they're looking for the services that you offer in a particular place. So just double check that this is accurate, because often when people have relocated, they've left their previous location in. Now we're going to go to the edit URL and edit profile. And this is, if we scroll up here, and this is what I was talking about just before. You can edit your custom URL. So this is your URL along the top. That's what it will say. It's along the top when people search for you. At the moment, it's showing this my profile settings page. But you can see here that you can change it. So instead of Melanie Goodman 24678, which is what LinkedIn would have given me when I set up my LinkedIn account, we can edit this and we can make it more search engine optimized so that people can find you. But again, use keywords. So I could have done Melanie Goodman lawyer, or you can put in qualifications that you've got. Now, if you're not sure what these keywords are for your industry, because I talk quite a lot about keywords, and I'll talk about them more when we talk about your about and your summary section. You can use a website called Uber Suggest. That's UBER Suggest, so Uber Suggest, or Google Keyword Planner. And both these are excellent for finding industry-related keywords, which will make your profile rank higher. If you drop me an email, I can send you the link to these websites if you haven't written it down. Now, make sure that when we scroll down, your public visibility is on. You want to set it to public here. And you can see that I have shown everything on my profile to those who are viewing me. And setting it to public means that when people put your name into Google or they're doing searches on Google, your LinkedIn profile will come up. And that's actually very important. People don't realize they've often just got it set so that only their connections can see it, or only their network, which makes it particularly limiting. So you don't want to have it set like that. Always have it set to public. Now I'm going to go back to my actual profile and scroll down, and we're going to talk about this all important about section. Now this is really the key section, and this is where you really get to talk about yourself. So you can see that I have split it up, and I always suggest to clients, and when we are optimizing clients' profiles, we split it into very easy to read chunks. And we also, we try and make it more visually attractive. You can see I'm using bullet points, squares, because most of my clients are in sort of corporate sectors. We don't use sort of jokey emojis, but you can do. And there's a very good website called Unicode Table, where you can find these icons. Again, I can drop that to you on an email if you're interested. Now this section is where you can really get those keywords in. So you think about who you want to attract and who is your ideal client, or if you're looking for a job, your ideal employer. So let's start off with thinking about who you are. So are you a doctor, a lawyer, a professional footballer that you are looking for as a client? Latch on to how these people might feel. So you could write in here, do you feel frustrated? And hopefully your ideal client will feel frustrated. And so they'll read on and think about what's the biggest problem that your ideal client has that you or your service can solve. Think about what results they would be most looking for and be desiring most. Would you like X, Y, and Z to happen? Would you like to be secure in your knowledge that your children's future is provided for? Or would you like to have a standout website to attract new clients? Think about what outcomes they get by working with you. Because you want them to think, yes, I need that service from Sarah. Right, so if so, you say, right, I can do X, Y, and Z, and tell them what you can do for them. So you can see as we scroll down, I've said what makes us different. And I've said what we can do for them. So we can provide networking campaigns that attract their ideal audience. And I've also included some testimonials because everyone likes to see that someone has said positive things about the person that they are potentially going to work with. So I'm going to recap. So say who you are, why you do what you do, your experience, and why you personally, why should they work with you? And as you're writing this, do use as many of those keywords as you can without making it sound sort of silly and overstuffed with keywords. So you've obviously done it just to be ranked higher. It obviously has to be eloquent and coherent. And one thing that I'd also suggest adding in is if you've got some really good clients who don't mind being named, or former clients, you could, and especially if they're a very well-known brand or a blue chip company, put those in as well, just to add a bit of gravitas to your experience. And when you've written it, look at it, read it, and ask yourself, is the first sentence engaging? And is this written how you would actually speak? And of course, drum roll, here we go, it's the big call to action. And this is so important, and it's the bit that people often leave out. They actually, on loads and loads of the profiles I see, they just stop. They might put in their key skills and then they stop. But actually, now I know that there's already a contact info section, but A, people sometimes miss it. B, sometimes people don't fill it out properly. So as they're reading your profile, they'll automatically, they won't have to press anything, they will automatically stumble down to your contact details. So you will see, I've written, let's talk, message me, here's my email address, Actually, you can write this down if anybody needs to contact me afterwards. And that's my telephone number. And I would also add in here extra media, and you do this by adding it either by upload or by a link. And this is a great place where you can really show what you've done. You can use pictures. You can have images showing what else you do. You can see we do LinkedIn training. And I have put the testimonials and the recommendations that I've been given, which are in the recommendation section, I have put them onto images and uploaded them here. So people don't even have to go right to the bottom of my profile to find them. Let me just discard the changes. Now we are going to go down to the experience section, because obviously people want to see what experience you've got before they work with you. Now, this section, people often don't know properly how to use it. So I'm going to show you, if for example, we wanted to add a new job, we start filling in the areas here. Now this is really important. Make sure that share with your network is off as you're editing, because you might add something in and you don't necessarily want your whole network to be notified that you've changed something. So make sure that this is off, and scroll down. And while you're doing this, turn off update my headline and update my industry. Now, the key is to make this look as professional as possible, this area. So I'm going to just scroll out of it, come out of it. And here you can see where you write the name of the company, write the proper company name. Don't sort of shorten it to anything, because you want the icon, you want LinkedIn to bring it up as an option to click on, so that you get the company icon. You don't really want just a grey square. It doesn't look very professional. Now, what's really useful here is that you can use this section not only to show the role that you're in, but for example, if it's your own business or you're working for someone else and you've got a new service that you want to promote and you want to tell your network and people looking at you about, like for example, you can see Social Media Mastery 2020 is our desktop online training course, which we've just launched. So I have moved it to the top of my profile. And the way that you do this is by just hovering over these horizontal lines, and they go up and they go down, and you can move the position. So you can see, you can put what's most important at the time wherever you want it. And you can also here, if we move down, when you've added in all your positions, add in your education, any licenses, publications you've written, patents you have, courses, projects, awards. Put everything in these sections here, fill them out as completely as possible. They give a much more well-rounded view of you as an individual, people who are looking at you. Now, another key section to the LinkedIn profile is, of course, the skills and endorsements section. Now, this is extremely underrated, but you can actually add up to 50 skills, and you can really make it your own. You can add in, almost any skill that you want by just going to add a new skill. And you could put in, I mean, I've seen, for example, just say it was relevant to your job. You could put in cycling. I've seen even people put in eating and drinking. I wouldn't suggest that, it's not very professional, but you can put in a variety of words that you want to say that you are skilled at. Try and always keep it professional, and think about what are the top 10 skills that you really excel at in your job. Now, you can also, a lot of people don't realize this, you can also, by clicking on that little pencil, pin certain skills to the top of your profile. And these are the ones that you want to be endorsed for. So I want people to endorse me for being a LinkedIn expert or a social media expert. And again, you can move these around by moving them up and moving them down. So I shall move them like that, and down here, these are just all the other skills which I have and that people can endorse you for. So I think I'll save that actually. And as we move down, you'll see the recommendations. Now, people often just overlook this, but it's really key. It's like looking at a Trustpilot review or a Google review. And before you buy something, or like the Which report, but before you buy something, you want to know that other people have used the service and they've got results, and that they are skilled, and that they're professional and reliable. So I would strongly suggest that you go to your existing network, or your former employer, or your employer, or a colleague, or a client, and just, people are really, really receptive to this. Just ask them if they will give you a recommendation. You can do this by going to ask for a recommendation, and then you can type in one of your connections. You have to be connected to them to request a recommendation. Now we're going to go all the way back to the top of our profile and look here at our profile picture. Now, is your face visible? You really, really don't want that grey icon. I personally hate connecting with people who don't show their face, and I know it is a general bugbear of a lot of people. So check that your face is visible, and is it a professional headshot? Is the photo high resolution? The background photo, this image, should actually be 1584 pixels wide and 396 high. If you've got that, 1584 wide and 396 high, but again, let me know if you haven't. And I'd actually suggest using a website called Canva, as this gives you templates which are perfectly sized and designed for LinkedIn. And you can also crop and filter and adjust them after you upload them to LinkedIn. So you would just go to the pencil icon, and then the pencil icon again here. And you can, as you see, you can filter, you can adjust, you can drag it to reposition. And here again, press on and make sure that you've got public visibility. Really crucial. Let me just discard the changes as usual. Now, this is a really genius little hack, which I'm going to tell you, and it will help you get prioritized. And that is to rename the file on the computer with your photo, or on your phone, but it's easier to do it from your desktop. And rename it with keywords related to your service. So for example, mine might say, I might have called my profile photo, instead of just calling it profile photo.jpg, call it Melanie Goodman profile LinkedIn consultant, or something along those lines, or Joe Smith wealth manager, or we could have Rebecca Hartley marketing expert, etc. You get the gist of what I am saying. But it's really it really works extremely well, and it will push you up the rankings in Google and in LinkedIn searches. And you can do the same with your background photo as well. Now, obviously, because we are limited by time and to leave some time for questions, I'm going to go down to the settings though, and just talk you through the most important settings for your profile, so that you are not sending people to your competitors, which people are often, in fact 9 times out of 10, I would say, inadvertently doing. So let's look at the privacy settings, as these are really key. We've already made sure that you've set your profile to public. Now, who can see your email address? Well, for me, unless you've got a reason not to, I would say that anyone on LinkedIn should be able to see it. But again, this is completely up to you if you only want your connections to be able to see it. But remember, if you're looking for someone to be able to get in contact with you, I would normally say anyone on LinkedIn. Now, if I could shout, and you're lucky I'm not going to, scroll down to viewers of this profile also viewed. This must be turned to no. And that is because this box will send people to your competitors if it's switched on. In practice, I'm just going to show you there. So this is what must be switched to no. And what this means is that when someone comes and looks at your profile, if you have this switch to yes, which is by default, LinkedIn will suggest to them along the right-hand side of the screen other people in the same role as you or with the same skills as you. So they'll say, oh, you're looking at Mary, but actually John, Joe, and Sarah also do that job and have similar skills, and you might find them more efficient. So you don't want this to happen, and it's really key that you switch this to no, and it's the first thing we always do for clients. Now, who can see your connections? Let's scroll down. Who can see your connections is really a matter of personal preference. I would normally say that it should really only be you, as you don't really want, here we go, we don't really want people to poach your connections. But again, these are all matters of personal preference, other than the viewers of this profile also viewed, which is a killer. Now, profile viewing options. This is a key option, and unless you have a particular reason, it should really always show your name and headline. And the fact that you are on this webinar, for anyone who is attending this webinar, I would say that it's definitely key that people can see your name and your headline. You want people to be able to see your full profile. I'm going to move over to communications. Because people often don't actually really change these once they're on LinkedIn, but actually they say who can reach you. So you can see here, you can choose how you get your notifications, whether by LinkedIn, by email, or by push, but this tells who can get in contact with you. So I've said that everyone on LinkedIn can get into contact with me, and then I have the choice whether I want to respond, I want to accept them, or I don't want to accept them into my network. Or you can choose that only people who know your email address. So therefore that limits you more to people that you've actually met in person. So it depends on your goals of being on LinkedIn. But again, for most people attending this webinar, it will be the former, everyone on LinkedIn. You want people to get into contact with you. Now, are there any questions or things that I've said that you'd like to be clarified or repeated? And if so, you can just drop me a line in the chat area, or drop me a line in the Q&A area. Okay, I'm just going to go over for one of our attendees. The formula for your LinkedIn headline, it should be helping X, Y, and Z achieve X, Y, and Z by X, Y, and Z. So who you help and how you help and the results that they will get. Right. I can't see any other questions at the moment, so feel free to write me a message here, or if not, I'm going to draw the webinar to a close now. And I hope that you found this really useful. I'd love some feedback and to hear whether your profile views have increased following this webinar. And please do join my online social media course, which you can follow at your own pace from your desktop, and it's available in the link tank. So drop me a line and I will send you a link to join. I hope you found this useful and that you find my posts on LinkedIn valuable, and let's connect if we're not connected already. And thank you for your time today.